So, this story, and it could be just completely so random and have nothing to do with anything. But sometimes it's just like, there would be just one person who maybe would hear it and it would mean something to them and it would have an effect on something they're going through at that time of their life. The shirt is kind of like, if I look over there, I can see myself, and then you get stuck looking at yourself too much. So I keep looking away. And this shirt is bright, but I was going to go to a thing tonight, and so I was like, oh, I should get a little bit more dressed up. I mean, when you're sitting here in quarantine for a damn almost a year, some of the days it's like, what is the point of even putting on clothes? I'm not going anywhere. Nobody's coming over. I'm not doing anything. Um, so, and while you have all this time on your hands, I swear to God, I've done more shopping online. So I've got all these cute clothes that I want to go and wear places. There's no place to go. Nothing open. So annoying. Anyway, so this I was thinking about this morning, and I was thinking about stories and stuff and how they can help people and how they can affect people. And there was I had a teacher, and I feel like it was junior high, but it could have been high school. But it was in that kind of like the age of ninth grade or something, ninth, 10th maybe. Yeah, she was probably high school. And her name was Mrs. Bird. And she was such a significant person in my life. She said things that affected my life, my whole life. And I never, it's just weird when you think about like how you're affecting people. Like, she has no idea how she affected me. But when I was in high school, there's always incidents and stuff. Like, when I have really put it into perspective, how many places I lived at the same time, there was a major serial killer living there, going around killing people. It's creepy. But in this instance, so in where I grew up in Dallas, Dallas was more of a city. It had the inner city, and that's kind of where they had segregated the black people. And then you had kind of a little bit going out from that was still Dallas, but you had downtown Dallas. And then you had Dallas. But then there started being suburbs that started building out. And the suburbs would always seem like, far to go. But like when I was in high school, and they did the desegregation, and they were moving the black kids into what they considered higher education. They said that they were going to, they were being repressed in their schools. So rather than change their schools, they were just going to bring them to our schools. Everything they've done has always just never made sense. Like, we're not going to improve your neighborhood. We're not going to, but we're going to just throw you a bone here. We'll just take you over. Well, these kids have got it better. We'll just take you over to their school. And it was a very chaotic time because of how many people. I mean, there was a lot of people in the South locked into these stereotypes and these beliefs and these fears and stuff. So that was a big time, a significant time in my life that I base things on, that's a reference point. And so in the closest suburb that started being in one direction was Richardson and Plano. And now we've driven so far, and there's so many suburbs to every city, as much as they can fit us in all the cities, that, we're used to driving a lot further. I mean, geez, people drive an hour to get to work, drive 2 hours through traffic to get to work. But then when this happened, it was like, I don't know, 15 minutes from your house or something. And it was like, oh my God, that is like way out there. And you're driving, there's nothing there too. There's like no built in. It's just another little town with nothing in between, kind of like how I live now, rural, as an outskirt from another one, but there's nothing in between. So this one of the teachers, her daughter was driving. They had moved out there to the suburbs, but whatever the thing was, I can't remember the whole story. But this girl, her car broke down. I guess they thought possibly, and then she was found completely dismembered, all her parts spread out all over through these fields to get between these two cities, or between Dallas and between Richardson or Plano. It was in that area, and Plano is just past Richardson, and they both have built up a lot now. They're like, it's totally different. But so this, this was a teacher that Mrs. Bird knew, and I had always thought it was a teacher at my own school. But then as I got older, it was like, well, I don't know for sure. She could have known her from another school. I don't really remember all those. But it really affected Mrs. Bird, and this was when boys had boy gym and girls had girl gym, and you had to put on a little outfit and stuff. And so she was the girls' gym. So she would sit us down and she would talk to us, and she would tell us, how to protect ourselves. And so this was the mid-'70s, and this was when she taught us about using our keys as weapons. She told us about decorating, because of what happened to that girl. She said, don't stop your car for anybody. But if it breaks down like that and somebody comes up to your car and approaches you, you need to have a hammer right under your seat. You need to be able to just pull it out and just hit them with it. And she was like, you could even decorate it and stuff. So the hammer thing. And then one of the biggest things was, she said that even if somebody comes up to you and they have a gun and they say, get in the car, she said, do not get in the car. You take off running. You're better off getting shot right there than you are going with them and having them do what they're going to do to you before they kill you. And those things always stuck out to me, and it was such a significant thing. It was a helpful thing that she was putting out there to all these young girls about protecting themselves. And I don't even know how many other people were affected like me by all the stuff that was going on when we were in school, but that really had an effect on me. And so I was thinking about this story, and it's totally nothing to do with murder and mayhem and protecting yourself or anything. But I was thinking about I'm thinking a lot about the dogs, right? Because what I'm going through with the dogs, and it's weird just to see how the dogs start separating when one of them gets this sick. Like, still, you can tell, even the neighbors' dogs, when they come up and smell Winston, you can tell they smell death. And it's just like it turns their stomach. And they start going against him, like, you can really see how it works in the wild. Like they push the death to occur much faster. But I was thinking about my relationship with Stella and how much she is like a child to me. And about when she came into my life. When Winston came into my life, I was a workaholic. I had teenage daughters who took full advantage of me not being home. And it was a lot of stuff, a lot of drama going on all the time in my life. And so it seemed like, neighbors were always sticking their noses in. There was at one point, one of the neighbors came and told me that they had signed a petition that wanted to kick me out of the neighborhood because I would go and work. And when I was traveling, doing the traveling nurse, I would work and stay out of town all night. And that my kids would have parties. And so the neighbors didn't like it. And they decided that they were going to have me kicked out of the neighborhood. That was how they were going to solve it. And we were involved with sports and stuff. So a lot of these, same parents, and all are just so, they love gossip and drama and creating crap, and those things that they portray in the movies is pretty, I mean, they stereotype and stuff, but it is pretty right on. But then, for somebody who's not like that, you're going to automatically assume they are that way because of the stereotypes. But definitely, those moms that stand over there in a corner, as a little group, belittling other moms. That's a lot of what you deal with when you get involved with stuff at school for your kids. But anyway, so with Stella, because it was Lucy first. So Winston came at a time when I just didn't really have time for him, and he was he was a lot of trouble. Like, I bought this wood, this really cool furniture set for out on the patio, and he went out and ate it, and it was super expensive. He would eat the walls in the house. Like, it was just constantly with that guy. And he was very Marley and me, but he's taken it much more drawn out ending. But anyways, so Lucy was the dog I had right before Stella. It's the same breed. That's what Lucy's the one who sold me on this breed. And when we got Lucy, it was the last couple months of my marriage, and so there was a lot of stuff going on, and Lucy was, my ex really wanted her, but then she's really bonded to me. And when we had just gotten her, and she was just a couple months old when I had to go to Texas. That was the time to do the movie, and I had to be gone. It was almost 2 months, and I would get these huge tears. I would miss her so much, these giant tears, and I was like, God, this is so weird. I barely know this little girl, and I just miss her. And but I kept noticing, like, I miss this little puppy I barely know, and I don't miss my husband at all. So there's a problem. And so we split up, and when I got back from the trip, Lucy just really became connected to me. And it made him mad, but he still wanted her when he left. And I kept keeping her. And we had a business that I was losing. I was trying this, so after he left, it was just me at home, and I had Lucy, and she was I don't know, 6 months old, maybe 4 months old. And I think it was around the time she was probably 6 months is when I started where I was losing our business. The divorce was in the process, and I was going to the shop all the time because I was like, I got to somehow figure out how to save this shop. And then my lawyer ended up being like, no, it's completely out of your control. This is all in his name. There's nothing you can do. You got to let it go. So I had to just get my stuff and move out of the shop. And I had to do it like immediate. It had to be done right then. So, it was not even enough time to really mourn. It had to be done so fast, and it was so much going on. But before that happened, I was at the shop all the time. So I would get up, and I couldn't drive. So I would ride my bike the 8 miles to the shop, and then I'd go in and try and, work or do whatever I could to, I don't even know what I was doing really. And then ride the 8 miles home. So I'd be gone several hours, and Lucy would eat the furniture. I had a back door with a fenced in yard, so I would leave the back door open for her, and she would drag stuff outside, just tear everything up. She had a horrible anxiety, and I just didn't even understand it at all. And so then I got a crate, tried to crate her, and she, there's something burning my eye. that she, I tried to put her in the crate and she like dismantled it. I can't even imagine what she was doing to try and get herself out of that crate. But yeah, she bent it all up and got herself out. She was like, no way was she gonna stay in that. And so that didn't work. I was just like, oh, I just would get so upset. Oh, Queen. So, then, let me get back in my story thing. So then, once I was home all the time, you know, that improved, but as long as I was home, everything I had to do would take me longer because I would either have to take the bus or I would have to ride my bike everywhere, you know, go to the store and stuff. And so I still had to leave at some points, but she, I started seeing how she would get so excited when I would get home. She was having such anxiety. And sometimes I would just get so mad at her for eating all the furniture. I would yell at her. It just makes me feel horrible because especially English Mastiffs are so emotional. But anyways, and then I ended up taking her into, she had she went in heat and then she went out of it and then she went back in heat again. So when I had talked to the vet, they said that I could go ahead and get her fixed now because once she had gone through 2 heats, because you're not supposed to do an English Mastiff until they're older because something with their growth plates and stuff. But they said that because her having 2 heats, that whatever the hormones or whatever, that it would be fine. So I went and took her in and we she got the surgery and I came home and she just was super drowsy. She didn't want to get up. I went outside and I was mowing the yard and she came out and laid in the yard and was watching me. And then when I went to bed, she didn't come to bed. And so I came out and I checked on her and she just still was super, super drowsy. And then I went back to bed. And about an hour after that, I heard her crying. So I jumped up and I ran out there. Oh, please stop. I ran out there and she couldn't breathe. So I was in a panic and I called my mom. She would work the cat clinic and do the surgery. So she'd have to do the after surgery care. And I was like, she can't breathe. She's gasping for air. And so she's trying to talk to me. And then Lucy started having seizures and she died right in my arms. And it was horrible. And she was only 13 months old. And I was super traumatized. And when I had gotten her, it was, I was doing a festival. And, hold on.